The air inside Madison Square Garden smells like spilled beer, sweat, and leather. March 1978. New York City, the most famous arena in the world. 18,000 seats, every single one of them filled. Standing room only. People packed into the aisles, sitting on steps, leaning against walls. Fire marshals gave up counting an hour ago. This isn't a boxing match. This isn't wrestling. This is the International Heavyweight Open Challenge Championship. No weight classes, no style restrictions, no rules except three. No eye gouging, no groin strikes, no biting. Everything else is legal. Submissions, knockouts, throws, chokes, joint locks. The most brutal legal combat event in American history. The promoter is Don the Snake Castellano, former mob associate turned fight promoter. Made his fortune putting on underground fights in Brooklyn, warehouses through the late 60s, bare knuckle, no referees. Fighters sometimes carried out on stretchers, sometimes not carried out at all. Now he's gone legitimate. Sort of. The Open Challenge Championship is his masterpiece. His idea is simple. Find the biggest, most terrifying human being on the planet. Put him in a ring. Let anyone who thinks they can beat him try. Charge $50 a ticket in 1978 money. That's $220 today. 18,000 seats at $50 each. You do the math. The money is obscene. And the monster he found. God. The monster he found. Viktor Kozlov. Born in Volgograd, Soviet Union. 1949. Son of a steel worker and a woman who died giving birth to him because he was too large for natural delivery. 14 pounds at birth. By age 10, he was 5 feet 8 and 200 pounds. By age 15, he was 6 feet 2 and 300 pounds. By age 20, he was 6 feet 4 and 400 pounds. Now, at 29 years old, Viktor Kozlov stands 6 foot 5 inches tall and weighs 601 pounds. Not fat, not sloppy, thick, dense, layered with muscle underneath a coating of bulk that makes him look like something carved from a mountain and wrapped in skin. His neck is 28 inches around, thicker than most men's thighs. His hands are the size of dinner plates. His forearms look like someone stuffed 2 bowling balls into skin sleeves. His chest is 64 inches around. When he breathes, it sounds like a bellows in a blacksmith shop. Deep, rhythmic, mechanical. They call him the Siberian Mountain. Not because he's from Siberia, he's not, but because someone once said fighting him is like trying to move a mountain in a Siberian winter. Impossible, cold, fatal. His record: 34 professional fights, 34 victories, 0 losses, 31 of those victories by knockout or stoppage. Average fight time, 47 seconds. His longest fight lasted 3 minutes and 12 seconds. The shortest, 6 seconds. One punch. Opponent's jaw broke in 3 places. Career ended. Life changed forever. 11 of his opponents never fought again. Not because they couldn't, because they wouldn't. Because whatever Viktor did to them and in that ring broke something inside them that doctors couldn't fix and trainers couldn't rebuild. He's put 4 men in the hospital with injuries that took more than 6 months to heal. Broken orbital bones, shattered ribs, a collapsed lung. One man's shoulder was dislocated so badly the surgeon said it looked like a car accident, not a fight. Tonight is his 35th fight. The main event, the championship defense, the crown jewel of Don Castellano's empire. The undercard fights are finished. 3 hours of brutal combat. Blood on the canvas, 2 stretcher carryouts. The crowd is drunk on violence and alcohol and the electric feeling that something historic is about to happen. The energy in Madison Square Garden is not excitement. It's bloodlust, pure, primal, ugly. Victor stands in his corner, black trunks, no shirt, no shoes, bare feet on the canvas. His body is a landscape of scars and old injuries. A thick rope of scar tissue runs from his left shoulder to his chest. Knife fight in Moscow, age 16. Won that too. His knuckles are flat, calcified, deformed from years of hitting things that shouldn't be hit. Heavy bags until they burst. Wooden posts until the wood splintered. Concrete walls until the concrete cracked. He doesn't warm up, doesn't stretch, doesn't bounce, just stands there, breathing, waiting, like a machine that's been turned on but hasn't received instructions yet. The promoter enters the ring. Don Castellano, 55 years old, expensive suit, gold rings on every finger, cigar tucked behind his ear, microphone in his hand. He looks out at 18,000 people and smiles the smile of a man who's about to get very, very rich. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Madison Square Garden. Welcome to the International Heavyweight Open Challenge Championship. Tonight, our undefeated champion, Victor the Siberian Mountain Kozlov, 34-0, will defend his title. But tonight is special. Tonight is different. The champion has issued an open challenge. The open challenge. Anyone in the audience, any size, any style, any background, step into the ring with the Siberian Mountain. Survive 3 rounds, you win $10,000. Beat him, you win $50,000. No one has ever survived 3 rounds. No one has ever come close. The promoter pauses, lets the number hang in the air. $50,000 in 1978. That's a house. That's a new life. That's enough to change everything. The crowd murmurs, heads turn, people look at each other. Who's crazy enough? Who's desperate enough? Who's drunk enough? Don Castellano continues, the champion will walk through the audience. He will select a challenger at random. If you are selected, you may decline. No shame, no judgment. This is voluntary. But if you accept, you step into this ring with the most dangerous man on the planet, and whatever happens next is between you and God. The crowd laughs nervously. Some people in the front rows start shifting backward, moving away from the aisle, away from the path Victor will walk. Nobody wants to be chosen. Nobody wants to be within arm's reach of something that large, that dangerous, that inhuman. Victor climbs through the ropes. The ring shakes when his feet hit the arena floor, not metaphorically, literally shakes. 601 pounds landing on concrete. People nearby feel it through their shoes. He starts walking through the crowd, slowly, each step deliberate. The crowd parts like water around a boulder. People physically climbing over seats to get away from him. Drinks spilling, chairs scraping. A woman screams when he passes too close, not because he did anything, just because he exists, just because something that large and that quiet shouldn't be real. He walks through section after section, looking, scanning. His eyes are small, buried deep in a face that looks like it was carved with a dull axe. Flat nose, broken 4 times. Thick brow ridge, a jaw like a cinder block. No expression, nothing readable, just scanning. Section A. Families, tourists, people who bought tickets thinking this was a wrestling show. Victor passes them. Not interested. Section B, college kids, fraternity boys, drunk and loud until Victor walks past, then silent. One kid's hands are shaking so badly his beer is sloshing over the rim of his cup. Section C, fight crowd, serious people, trainers, retired boxers, martial artists, people who understand what they're watching. They meet Victor's eyes. Some nod respectfully. None volunteer. They know better. They've seen what 601 pounds can do to a human body. They've seen the stretchers. Section D, mixed crowd, businessmen, journalists, photographers, a few off-duty cops, and in row 14, seat 7, a man sitting quietly. Victor stops. Something about this man. Can't explain it. The way he's sitting, not leaning back like everyone else, not trying to create distance, sitting normally, comfortably, like Victor is a waiter, not a weapon, like 601 pounds of destruction just walked past and this man didn't even adjust his posture. Victor points, a massive finger, thick as a sausage, aimed directly at the man in row 14, seat 7. You. The crowd turns, 18,000 heads rotating to look at one man, and what they see confuses them. The man is average height, maybe 5 feet 10, lean build, not skinny, but not muscular either, at least not visibly. He's wearing a plain denim shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows, jeans, cowboy boots, brown hair, neatly trimmed beard, blue eyes. He looks like a ranch hand, like someone who works with horses, not someone who fights in arenas. Mid-30s, maybe. Calm face, no visible reaction to being chosen by 601 pounds of Soviet destruction. The people around him react immediately. The woman next to him grabs his arm. Don't, please, you don't have to. A man behind him leans forward. Buddy, just shake your head. Say no. Nobody will blame you. A journalist 2 seats over is already writing. Random audience member selected. Average build. No visible fighting background. This should be quick. The chosen man gently removes the woman's hand from his arm, pats it once, reassuring. Then he stands, full height, 5 feet 10 confirmed, maybe 170 pounds, against 601. The math is horrifying. Victor outweighs him by 431 pounds, more than 2.5 times his body weight. The crowd's reaction comes in waves. First, silence, then murmuring, then open laughter. This is a joke. This has to be a joke. This average-looking man in a denim shirt and cowboy boots is going to step into a ring with the Siberian mountain? With a man who knocked someone out in 6 seconds? Who put 4 men in the hospital? Who has 34 consecutive victories and averages 47 seconds per fight? People start calling out. Don't do it, buddy. You got a death wish? Someone call an ambulance now. Save time later. Hey, cowboy, the rodeo is next door. The laughter builds. Genuine amusement. These people paid $50 each. They wanted a show, and now they're getting a comedy act as a bonus. Victor stares down at the man, 6 inches taller, 431 pounds heavier. His shadow literally covers the man completely when they stand face to face. The overhead lights create a silhouette around Victor that makes the smaller man disappear into darkness. A visual metaphor that isn't lost on the photographers. Flashes pop everywhere. This image will make every newspaper in New York tomorrow. The promoter rushes over, microphone in hand, sweating through his expensive suit. He looks at the chosen man with a mixture of concern and excitement. Concern because this man might actually die in his ring. Excitement because this is exactly the kind of spectacle that sells tickets. Sir, the promoter says, leaning close. "What is your name?" The man takes the microphone. His grip is relaxed, natural, like he's held microphones before, like he's comfortable being watched by 18,000 people. His voice comes out steady, not loud, not quiet, just even, controlled, like a man who measures every word before releasing it. "My name is Carlos, Carlos Ray." The crowd doesn't react. Just a name. Just some guy named Carlos. Probably a construction worker. Probably a truck driver. Probably someone who's about to make the worst decision of his life. The promoter nods. "And Carlos, do you have any fighting experience?" "Some." "What kind?" "Martial arts." "What style?" "Tang Soo Do." "And some others." The promoter has never heard of Tang Soo Do. Neither has 99% of the audience. Sounds foreign, sounds exotic, sounds completely useless against 601 pounds of Soviet muscle. The laughter intensifies. Martial arts, of course. Some karate guy who watched too many Bruce Lee movies thinks he can fight a real monster. This is going to be embarrassing. This is going to be brutal. This might actually be sad. A journalist in the third row turns to his colleague. I give him 30 seconds. The colleague shakes his head. 15, maybe 20 if he runs. They both laugh. Write the headline now. Save time later. Random karate tourist destroyed by 600-pound monster. Perfect Sunday morning content. Victor looks down at Carlos. Studies him. For the first time tonight, something flickers in those small, buried eyes. Not concern, not respect. Curiosity, maybe. This small man doesn't smell like fear. Everyone else tonight has smelled like fear. Sweat and adrenaline and the sharp chemical stink of terror. This man smells like leather and soap and nothing else. The promoter continues the formalities. Carlos, you understand the risks? I understand. You understand that you are facing an undefeated champion with 34 consecutive victories? I understand. You understand that medical personnel are standing by, but that serious injury is possible? I understand. You are volunteering freely? Yes. Do you have any last words before we begin? Carlos looks at the promoter, then looks at Victor. All 601 pounds, the neck thicker than his thigh, the hands bigger than his head, the chest wider than a refrigerator, the scars, the flat, dead eyes, the complete absence of mercy in that face. Carlos speaks into the microphone. One sentence, just here, to have some fun. The crowd erupts. Laughter, disbelief, applause even. This man has guts, stupid guts, but guts, walking into a ring with the Siberian mountain and calling it fun. Either he's the bravest man in New York or the dumbest. Maybe both. Victor doesn't laugh, doesn't react, just stares. The curiosity in his eyes deepens slightly. He's fought 34 men, knocked out 31 of them. All of them showed fear. All of them trembled or sweated or prayed or made excuses. This one said fun, strange, concerning maybe. Both men are escorted to the ring. Carlos climbs the steps normally. No rush, no hesitation. Victor doesn't use the stumps. He grabs the top rope with both hands and hauls himself onto the apron. The entire ring structure groans under his weight. The metal posts flex visibly. The canvas sags where he stands. A structural engineer in the audience later tells a reporter he was genuinely worried the ring would collapse. They stand in their corners. Victor in the red corner, Carlos in the blue corner. The contrast is grotesque. Victor fills his entire corner. His shoulders extend past the turnbuckles on both sides. His shadow covers half the ring. Carlos stands in his corner looking like someone accidentally wandered into the wrong room. Still wearing the denim shirt, still wearing the cowboy boots, didn't even take off his watch. A silver watch, simple, practical. He glances at it once, 9:47 p.m. Notes the time, like he has somewhere to be after this. The referee enters the ring. Old man, 60s, seen everything. Refereed hundreds of fights. Looks at Carlos with something between pity and admiration. Pulls him aside. Son, I've been doing this for 30 years. You can still walk away. No shame. I've seen what this man does to people. Last month he broke a professional wrestler's arm in 2 places. The wrestler was 280 pounds. You're what, 170? 170, Carlos confirms. The referee sighs. God help you. I'll stop it the moment I think your life is in danger. Don't be a hero. When you're hurt, stay down. Understood? Carlos nods, smiles slightly. The referee has seen that smile before. On men who don't understand what's coming, on men who think courage is enough. It never is, not against Viktor Kozlov. Center ring. Both fighters called to the middle. The referee explains the rules. 3 rounds, 3 minutes each. No eye gouging, no groin strikes, no biting. Everything else is legal. Knockdowns are counted. 3 knockdowns in 1 round. Automatic stoppage. If at any point I determine a fighter cannot continue, I will stop the fight. Touch gloves. Viktor extends his fist. It's the size of a small ham. Carlos touches it with his own fist. The size difference is almost comical, like a child's hand touching a boulder. The crowd sees this, and a new wave of laughter ripples through the arena. They return to their corners. The bell's about to ring. 18,000 people are about to watch what they believe will be a 30-second destruction. The journalists have their headlines ready. The photographers have their cameras aimed. The medical team has a stretcher positioned ringside. The bell rings, round 1. The sound cuts through the arena like a knife through silence. 18,000 people hold their breath simultaneously. You can hear it. The collective inhale, the sudden absence of noise, like the building itself is watching. Viktor moves forward. Not fast. He doesn't need to be fast. He's never needed to be fast. When you weigh 601 pounds, speed is irrelevant. You are gravity. You are inevitability. You move forward, and things break, or things move. There is no third option. His feet don't leave the canvas. They slide, heavy, grinding. The sound of his footsteps is audible in the silence. Thud, 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 like a heartbeat, like a countdown. Carlos stands still, doesn't retreat, doesn't advance, just stands there in his denim shirt and cowboy boots, hands at his sides, watching 601 pounds walk toward him. The crowd is screaming now. Move, run, get out of the way. He doesn't move. Viktor reaches striking range. His massive right arm swings. Not a jab, not a technical punch. A clubbing overhand, right designed to end fights before they begin. 601 pounds of body weight behind a fist the size of a small ham. This punch has broken orbital bones. This punch has ended careers. This punch has put men in hospitals for months. Carlos moves, just his head. 2 inches to the left. The fist passes his right ear so close he can feel the wind. The displaced air ruffles his hair. 601 pounds of committed force hits nothing but atmosphere. Viktor's momentum carries him forward slightly, off balance, just slightly, just for a fraction of a second. The crowd gasps. One collective sound from 18,000 throats. Not a cheer, not a scream, a gasp. the universal human sound of witnessing something unexpected. Victor resets, throws another punch, left hand this time, hooking, aimed at Carlos's body. This punch has cracked ribs. This punch has made 250-pound men fold like paper. Carlos isn't there. He's moved, not jumped, not leaped, shifted, like water flowing around a stone. Minimal movement, maximum efficiency. His feet barely left the ground. He's now standing 2 feet to Victor's left, perfectly balanced, hands still at his sides, still hasn't raised them, still hasn't taken a fighting stance. The crowd noise changes. The laughter is gone, completely gone, replaced by something else, confusion, uncertainty, the beginning of a question that 18,000 people are starting to ask simultaneously. Who is this man? Victor turns, faster now, angry maybe, or frustrated. He's not used to missing. In 34 fights, he's never missed twice in a row. He throws a combination, right hand, left hand, right hand, each punch carrying enough force to kill a normal human being, 3 sledgehammers swinging in sequence. Carlos moves through them like smoke, slipping the first, ducking the second, sidestepping the third, each movement minimal, each movement precise, each movement exactly enough and nothing more. No wasted energy, no wasted motion, like he's calculated the exact trajectory of each punch before it was thrown and positioned himself in the one place where the fist cannot reach. Victor stops, breathing harder now, not from exhaustion, from confusion. He's thrown 5 punches. His average fight is 47 seconds. By now, his opponent should be on the canvas, should be bleeding, should be unconscious. This man isn't even sweating. The crowd is getting louder, but it's a different kind of loud. Not entertainment, not bloodlust, amazement. They're watching something they've never seen before. A 170-pound man in street clothes making a 601-pound undefeated monster miss every single punch. And not by running, not by hiding, by standing right there, right in front of him, just not being where the punches are. Victor charges, full speed, all 601 pounds moving forward with the force of a small vehicle. He's done this before. When technique fails, mass succeeds. Simple physics. Momentum equals mass times velocity. 601 pounds times full speed equals nothing survives. Carlos waits, stands completely still. The crowd screams. People cover their eyes. A woman in the front row turns away. She doesn't want to see what 601 pounds does to 170 pounds at full speed. It won't be a fight. It'll be a car accident. At the last possible moment, Carlos steps to the right. His left hand touches Victor's shoulder as the massive man passes. Light touch, gentle, guiding, redirecting, using Victor's own momentum against him. 601 pounds flies past, crashes into the corner turnbuckle. The entire ring shakes. The corner post bends. The crowd feels the impact through the arena floor. Victor bounces off the turnbuckle, turns around. His face has changed. The dead flat expression is gone. Something is there now, not fear. Victor Kozlov has never felt fear. Not anger exactly. Recognition. He recognizes what's happening. He recognizes that this man in the denim shirt and cowboy boots is not a random volunteer. This is someone who knows how to fight, really fight, at a level Victor has never encountered in 34 professional fights. Carlos stands center ring, Hasn't moved from the spot where he redirected Victor. Hands still at his sides, breathing normally, not a drop of sweat, not a hair out of place. The denim shirt isn't even wrinkled. He looks like he's waiting for a bus, like nothing happened, like he didn't just make the most dangerous man in the arena look clumsy. 1 minute gone, 2 minutes remaining in round one. Victor changes strategy. He's not stupid. 34 victories didn't come from just size. They came from adaptability, from learning, from understanding that every opponent has a pattern and every pattern can be broken. He stops charging, stops swinging wildly, resets to center ring, plants his feet, takes a deep breath that sounds like a furnace door opening, and waits. For the first time tonight, Viktor Kozlov is not advancing. For the first time in 34 fights, the Siberian mountain is standing still, waiting for his opponent to come to him. The crowd notices. The fighters in the audience notice. The trainers notice. This is significant. This is Victor admitting that his standard approach isn't working, that charging forward and swinging isn't going to beat this man in the denim shirt. He needs a different plan. Carlos notices too. His eyes narrow slightly, just barely. Most people wouldn't catch it, but the fighters in Section C catch it. The martial artists who came to study, to learn, they see the subtle shift in Carlos's expression. He's recalculating, reassessing. The easy part is over. Victor just got smarter. This fight just got real. Carlos moves first. For the first time in the fight, he advances, steps forward, measured, careful, not aggressive, exploratory, testing. His feet move in a pattern nobody in the arena recognizes, not boxing footwork, not karate, not kung fu, something else, something fluid and circular and constantly shifting, like he's walking on water and the water keeps moving. He enters Victor's range, dangerous territory, within reach of those 601-pound arms, those dinner plate hands, those sledgehammer fists. Carlos is inside the kill zone now, where all 31 knockouts happened, where all 4 hospitalizations began, where careers ended and men broke. Victor throws, right hand, fast for a man his size, devastatingly fast, actually. This is the punch that ended fights in 6 seconds, the punch that the audience never sees coming, because a man that large shouldn't be able to move that quickly. Physics says no. Victor says yes. 601 pounds moving at speed that contradicts every law of biomechanics. Carlos blocks it. First time he's actually blocked instead of evading. His left forearm meets Victor's wrist, redirects the punch downward, but something happens. Carlos feels it. The impact travels up his arm like electricity, pure force, raw power, the kind of power that doesn't come from technique or training, the kind that comes from being built differently, from being something other than normal. Carlos's left arm goes slightly numb, not dead, not useless, but the nerves ring like a bell that's been struck too hard. He notes it, files it away. Important information, don't block, redirect, absorb nothing, let everything pass. Victor sees the effect, sees the slight grimace on Carlos's face, sees the left arm drop half an inch. For the first time, Victor smiles, small smile, barely visible under the flat features, but it's there. He felt the impact too, felt his fist meet resistance, felt something connect. This man can be hit. This man can be hurt. This man is human after all. Victor attacks with renewed intensity, combinations, heavy hands mixing with knees and elbows, Muay Thai influenced. Victor trained in Thailand for 6 months before going professional. Learned the clinch, learned the knees, added them to his arsenal of pure destruction. A 601-pound man throwing knees is not something the human body was designed to receive. Carlos adapts, changes his movement pattern, stops blocking entirely, returns to pure evasion. But it's harder now. Victor is smarter now, cutting off the ring, using his mass to reduce Carlos's space, herding him toward corners, toward ropes, toward places where 170 pounds can't maneuver, and 601 pounds becomes an inescapable wall. Carlos finds himself in a corner, ropes on both sides, Victor in front, nowhere to go. For the first time, the crowd sees something in Carlos's face. Not fear, not panic, but acknowledgement. The recognition that this situation is dangerous, that 601 pounds in a confined space with no room to move is a death sentence, that Viktor Kozlov, for all his size, is not just a monster. He's a fighter, a real fighter, a smart fighter. Victor closes in, throws a massive uppercut aimed at Carlos's chin. This is the fight ender. This is the punch that broke the professional wrestler's arm when he tried to block it. This is 601 pounds of upward force concentrated into a single fist moving at maximum velocity toward the most vulnerable point on the human skull. Carlos does something nobody expects. He doesn't evade, doesn't block, doesn't redirect. He steps forward into the punch, inside the arc, so close to Victor that the uppercut passes behind his head, misses completely. Carlos is now chest to chest with the Siberian mountain, 170 pounds pressed against 601 pounds, his face level with Victor's sternum. And then it happens. The moment that changes everything. The moment that 18,000 people will talk about for the rest of their lives. The moment that the journalists will struggle to describe, and the photographers will curse themselves for missing because it happened too fast. Carlos strikes. 3 strikes. That's all. 3 strikes in less than 1 second. His right fist drives into Victor's solar plexus, the exact center of the body, the nerve cluster that controls breathing, that controls consciousness, that controls the ability to stand upright. The punch doesn't look powerful, doesn't look dramatic. No wind-up, no telegraphing, just a short, compact explosion of force from a distance of 6 inches. But the effect is immediate. Victor's diaphragm spasms, his lungs lock. For the first time in his adult life, Viktor Kozlov cannot breathe. His body bends forward involuntarily. Not much, just a few degrees, but enough. Enough to bring his face down toward Carlos. The second strike, left hand, open palm, rising. It catches Victor under the chin, snaps his head backward. Not a punch, a palm strike. Ancient technique, Wing Chun, the style that Bruce Lee learned before creating his own, the style that generates maximum force from minimum distance, the style that doesn't need wind-up because the power comes from structure, from alignment, from the ground traveling through the body and out through the hand like electricity through a wire. Victor's head snaps back. His eyes go blank for a fraction of a second, not unconscious, but disrupted. The brain rattling inside the skull, the signals between brain and body scrambling. For 1 fraction of 1 second, Viktor Kozlov is not in control of his own body. 601 pounds operating without a pilot. The third strike, right hand again, this time aimed at Victor's throat, moving with precision that borders on surgical, the kind of accuracy that doesn't come from practice, that comes from something deeper, from thousands of hours of repetition that have burned the movement into muscle and nerve until it's not a technique anymore. It's reflex, it's instinct, it's automatic as breathing. But the third strike doesn't land. It stops. 1 inch from Victor's throat, 1 inch from the trachea, 1 inch from a strike that could collapse a windpipe, that could kill a man, that could end not just a fight, but a life. Carlos holds it there, perfectly still, perfectly controlled. 1 inch, the distance between demonstration and destruction, the distance between mercy and murder, the distance between who Carlos is and who he chooses to be. The arena goes silent, not quiet, silent, the kind of silence that has weight, that has texture, that presses down on you like a physical force. 18,000 people, not one sound, not a cough, not a whisper, not the rustle of clothing or the clink of a beer bottle, nothing, absolute zero of human noise. Victor stands frozen, bent slightly forward from the solar plexus strike, head tilted back from the palm strike, and a fist hovering 1 inch from his throat. He can feel the heat from Carlos's knuckles, can feel the displaced air, can feel how close he is to something terrible. His eyes focus, clear. He looks down at the fist, looks at the man behind it, and in that moment, Viktor Kozlov understands. He understands that this man could have killed him, not beaten him, not knocked him out, killed him, ended his life in front of 18,000 witnesses with 3 strikes that took less than 1 second. He understands that the solar plexus shot was real, the palm strike was real, only the third strike was held back. 2 out of 3 landed. The third was mercy. The referee rushes in, blows the whistle, steps between them. Stop, stop, it's over. Fight is over. He looks terrified, not of Victor, of Carlos, of what he just witnessed, of the precision and control and devastating efficiency of what just happened. He's refereed hundreds of fights. He's never seen anything like this. 3 strikes, less than 1 second. A 601-pound, undefeated monster stopped dead. Carlos steps back, lowers his fist slowly, not dramatically, not for show, just lowers it, returns to a neutral stance, hands at his sides, same position he started in, same denim shirt, same cowboy boots, same silver watch. He glances at it. 9:52 p.m. 5 minutes since the fight started. Felt like 5 hours. Felt like 5 seconds. Time does strange things in moments like these. The promoter is climbing into the ring. His face is white, actually white. The blood has drained from his face so completely he looks like a ghost in an expensive suit. This wasn't supposed to happen. The Siberian Mountain doesn't lose. The Siberian Mountain has never lost. 34 fights, 34 victories. The entire business model depends on Victor being unbeatable. Tickets are sold on the promise of watching Victor destroy people. If Victor can be beaten, the business is over. The empire crumbles. The money disappears. Don Castellano grabs the microphone. His hand is shaking, visibly shaking. The microphone picks up the tremor. 18,000 people can hear the slight rattle of a hand that can't stay still. He speaks. His voice cracks on the first word. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have..." He pauses, swallows, an unexpected result. The challenger. He looks at Carlos, at this ordinary-looking man in street clothes who just dismantled his undefeated champion in less than a second. "Who are you?" the promoter whispers. The microphone catches it. 18,000 people hear the question. Carlos takes the microphone from the promoter, holds it the same way he held his fist a moment ago. Controlled, precise, no wasted movement. He looks out at 18,000 faces, every single one staring back, waiting. The silence is so complete you can hear the buzzing of the overhead lights, the hum of the electrical system, the distant sound of New York City traffic 40 feet below the arena walls, a city that doesn't know what just happened inside this building, a city that doesn't care. But these 18,000 people care. They care desperately, because they just watched something impossible, and they need an explanation. Carlos speaks. "My name isn't Carlos Ray." He pauses, lets it hang. The crowd leans forward, physically leans. 18,000 bodies tilting toward one man with a microphone. "My name is Chuck Norris." Nobody reacts. Not immediately. The name bounces around the arena like a ball thrown into an empty room. Chuck Norris. Some people know it. Martial arts circles, karate tournament circuits, a few movie fans who saw Way of the Dragon. But Madison Square Garden in 1978 isn't filled with martial arts enthusiasts. It's filled with regular people, fight fans, gamblers, drunks, tourists. To them, Chuck Norris means nothing more than Carlos Ray did. But then someone reacts. Section C, the fighters, the trainers, the martial artists. A man stands up, then another, then a third. They're not cheering, they're not clapping, they're bowing, slight, respectful bows from men who understand what that name means, who know the record. 6-time undefeated world middleweight karate champion, 183 consecutive wins on the professional karate circuit, the man who sparred with Bruce Lee, the man Bruce Lee personally chose as his opponent in Way of the Dragon because he considered Chuck Norris the most dangerous fighter he'd ever faced, the man who trained with the best fighters in Japan, Korea, Brazil, who holds black belts in Tang Soo Do, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, who created his own style, Chun Kuk Do, the universal way, because no single existing style could contain what he knew. The recognition spreads like fire through dry grass. It starts in Section C and moves outward. People whispering to each other, translating, explaining. Chuck Norris, the karate champion, the movie star, the fighter, the real fighter. Not an actor who plays fighters, a fighter who sometimes acts. Someone pulls out a crumpled newspaper from their jacket. There's an article, small piece, back pages, about a martial arts exhibition happening in New York this week. Guest of honor, Chuck Norris. There's a photo. Same face, same beard, same blue eyes. The newspaper gets passed down the row. People look at the photo, look at the ring, look at the photo again. It's him. It's really him. The crowd's energy transforms completely. What was silence becomes noise. What was confusion becomes understanding. What was disbelief becomes awe. Chuck Norris, in their arena, in a denim shirt and cowboy boots, just dismantled their undefeated 601-pound champion with 3 strikes in less than 1 second. Didn't even take off his watch. Victor still stands in his corner, still processing. His trainer has climbed into the ring, speaking rapidly in Russian. Victor doesn't hear him. He's staring at Chuck Norris across the ring, staring at the man who just showed him something he didn't know existed, a level of fighting he didn't know was possible. In 34 fights, Victor dominated every opponent through size, through power, through the simple, overwhelming force of 601 pounds. Nobody ever made him feel small. Nobody ever made him feel slow. Nobody ever stopped 3 inches from killing him and chose not to. This man did all 3. Victor pushes his trainer aside, walks to center ring. The crowd tenses. What's happening? Is he angry? Is there going to be a real fight now? Is 601 pounds of humiliated Soviet muscle about to charge the man who embarrassed him? Victor stops in front of Chuck Norris, towers over him, 6 inches taller, 431 pounds heavier. His shadow covers Chuck completely. And then Viktor Kozlov does something nobody in that arena expected, something that contradicts everything they know about the Siberian mountain, everything they've seen in 34 brutal, violent, merciless fights. He bows, deep bow, formal, the kind of bow a student gives a master, the kind of bow that transcends language and culture and ego, the kind of bow that says, I understand, I recognize what you are, I respect what you showed me, I acknowledge that you are better, not bigger, not stronger, better, in the way that matters, in the way that transcends size and power and record books. Chuck returns the bow, equal depth, equal respect, not the bow of a winner to a loser, the bow of one fighter to another, the bow that says you are worthy, you pushed me, you made me work, you earned this respect through 34 victories and through the courage to bow when those victories met their limit. The crowd erupts, not cheering for a winner, not celebrating a defeat, cheering for the moment, for the respect, for the impossible image of a 601-pound monster bowing to a 170-pound man in a denim shirt. The arena stays loud for a full 3 minutes, stamping feet, clapping hands, whistles, the raw, unfiltered sound of 18,000 people experiencing something they didn't pay for but received anyway, something money can't buy, something that transcends entertainment, a moment of genuine human connection between 2 warriors from opposite ends of the earth who found common ground in a 24-foot ring under brutal lights in the middle of Manhattan. Chuck climbs out of the ring first, doesn't use the steps, ducks through the ropes and drops to the arena floor, lands softly, quietly, like a cat stepping off a windowsill. The crowd nearest to him reaches out, hands touching his shoulders, his arms, his back, not aggressive, reverent, like touching a relic, like confirming he's real, that what they just saw actually happened, that a man in a denim shirt and cowboy boots really did stop the unstoppable. He makes his way back to row 14, seat 7, sits down, same seat, same posture, like nothing happened, like he didn't just dismantle a 601-pound, undefeated champion, like it was a commercial break, and now the regular programming has resumed. The woman next to him is crying, not sad crying, overwhelmed crying, the crying that happens when your body doesn't know how else to process what your eyes just witnessed. She touches his arm. Are you okay? Chuck looks at her, smiles, that same slight smile. I'm fine, ma'am. Thank you for asking. She laughs through her tears. Thank me? Thank you. I've never seen anything like that. Nobody has ever seen anything like that. The man behind him, the one who told him to shake his head and say no, leans forward. His voice is shaking. I owe you an apology. I told you not to go. Chuck turns slightly. You were being kind. Nothing to apologize for. But how did you know? How did you know you could beat him? Chuck considers the question for a moment. looks down at his hands, the same hands that just stopped 1 inch from a man's throat. I didn't know I could beat him. I knew I could fight him. There's a difference. That's why I went. Not to win, to find out. The journalists are going insane, scrambling for phones, fighting over the 3 payphones in the arena lobby, rewriting their headlines, tearing up their pre-written stories about Victor's 35th consecutive victory. The new headline writes itself, but they can't agree on the words. Nothing in their vocabulary seems adequate. How do you describe what just happened? How do you put into a newspaper column what 18,000 people just felt in their chests? One journalist, an old-timer from the New York Post, 30 years covering fights, sits in his seat and doesn't move, doesn't rush for a phone, doesn't scribble notes, just sits there. His colleague nudges him. "You okay?" The old-timer nods slowly. "I've covered L.E., I've covered Frazier, I've covered Foreman. I thought I'd seen everything a fight could be. I was wrong. What I just saw wasn't a fight. It was a lesson, and the classroom was Madison Square Garden." Victor remains in the ring for 10 minutes after the fight, sitting on a stool in his corner, his trainer talking, Victor not listening. He's staring at the spot on the canvas where Chuck stood, the spot where 170 pounds made 601 pounds irrelevant, where technique made size meaningless, where one man's mastery revealed another man's limitations, not his physical limitations. Those are obvious. His philosophical limitations, the belief that bigger means better, that stronger means superior, that an undefeated record means unbeatable. Chuck Norris didn't just beat Viktor Kozlov tonight. He didn't just stop his 34-fight winning streak. He dismantled the idea that size is destiny, that mass determines outcome, that the biggest force always wins. After the event, as the crowd files out into the cold March New York night, stories are already being told, already being exaggerated, already being transformed from memory into legend. Some say Chuck knocked Victor out cold. He didn't. Some say he hit him 20 times. He didn't. Some say Victor cried. He didn't. The truth is simpler and more profound than any exaggeration. A man walked into an arena wearing street clothes. He sat in a random seat. He was chosen by an undefeated monster. He stepped into the ring without changing his clothes. He didn't raise his fists until the final moment. He struck 3 times in less than 1 second. He stopped the third strike 1 inch from killing his opponent, and then he went back to his seat and sat down. That's the story, not the version the newspapers printed, not the version that grew into legend, the real one, the true one, the one that 18,000 people carry in their memory, like a photograph that never fades. Chuck Norris, Madison Square Garden, March 1978. 601 pounds versus 170 pounds. 3 strikes. 1 inch of mercy. Infinite lessons. The night that proved forever that fighting isn't about size. It's about understanding. It's not about destroying your opponent. It's about mastering yourself. It's not about the fist that lands. It's about the fist that stops. 1 inch from the throat. 1 inch from destruction. 1 inch that separates a fighter from a warrior. And Chuck Norris, in a denim shirt and cowboy boots, with a silver watch reading 9:52 p.m., showed 18,000 people exactly where that inch lives. Not in the hand, not in the muscle, in the choice. Always in the choice.